Wednesday craft is back. My name is Caroline and I'm the Youth and Families Worker here at Litchfield Mission, and every Wednesday I make little craft videos for you guys to do at home. But we've had a couple of weeks off because we did something special called Messy Church Online. So if you head over to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch Messy Church, where you'll find loads more craft all about the armour of God. But today we're back doing craft videos based on our resource called Table Talk, where on Tuesdays we look at different things that Jesus taught us while he was on earth. And today, if we get our Bibles, we are in Matthew 22 and we're looking at verse 35 to verse 37. And we're looking at a conversation Jesus has with a Pharisee. So a Pharisee was someone who was an expert in the Old Testament, specifically the law that God gave to Moses and all of the laws, really. So in the Old Testament, that's where we can read it all. And these guys were experts in that part of the Bible. Like, they knew every single law that God had given them. They had massive memories and they were very, very, very clever. And they're trying to trick Jesus because they're a bit confused by Jesus and some of the things he's saying. They don't agree with him, really. So they're trying to trick him up a little bit. So here's what happens. In verse 35, we read this. One Pharisee was an expert in the law of Moses. That Pharisee asked Jesus a question to test him. The Pharisee asked, "Teacher, which command in the law is the most important?" Jesus answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind." So when Jesus says that, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, he's quoting one of the laws which we can find in the Old Testament in the book Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 5. And that is so people call that now the greatest commandment because it's one that Jesus highlights as being very important. And it was important for that Pharisee then, it was important for all of the people listening, and it's important for us today. Jesus is telling us that the most important thing to do is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And what does that look like today? Because that's a bit confusing, to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind. Well, if we think about it, our heart, our soul, and our mind are kind of all the things that we do. So we can love God with all of our heart, so our emotions, and then we can love God with our mind, with our thoughts, and then our soul, like everything we are, and that will direct everything we do. So in every single aspect of our lives, we should be loving God. And that's really good. And sometimes we can think, yes, I really want to love God with all my heart, soul, and mind, but it's hard to do in practice. But when we think about who God is, that God is loving, God is all-powerful, he's all-knowing, he's timeless, he's our strength, our shield, he's a fair judge, he's so much more. He sent his son to die for us. There are so many reasons that we should love God. And lots of the time we don't love him as we should. So this is a good thing to remember that Jesus taught us, that we should love the Lord our God with all of our heart, soul, and mind. In everything we do, we should love God. And part of that means we should read our Bible and spend time praying with God so that we'll grow closer and closer to him, because we can't love someone who we don't spend any time with. And when we read our Bible and when we pray, we spend time with God. So that's what we're looking at today. We're trying to remember that we should love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind. And remembering to do things like read our Bible and pray so that we can keep growing in our love of him, growing in our knowledge of him, and that will help us to love him more and more and more and more. And so here's what we're making today. We're making a little flip book with speech bubbles. So it has where our Bible verse today came from, and it has the greatest commandment so that we can remember it. And then when we flip it open, it reads today's Bible verse. It's a bit hard to do upside down. So we've got the greatest commandment. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And that'll help us to remember those three things that Jesus highlighted to us. So that's today's craft, and I'll go ahead and show you how to make it. So as normal, the first thing we need to do is head to the website, download, print, and colour in the PDF. And the PDF this week, or the template, is a few pieces of paper with lots of speech bubbles on, and then a few words, and then a couple of things to colour in, which are these. And then you might also want to colour in the speech bubbles depending on how you want your craft to look. And then once we've coloured everything in, what we're going to do is we're going to cut everything out. So now all we've got to do is stick everything together, and we're going to do this in two parts. So the first thing we're going to do is take a piece of paper that's going to be our background, and then we're going to gather all of our speech bubbles together and we're going to stick them on one by one. So what we'll do is we'll start with one of them, turn it around, and we're going to stick the whole thing down. So I'm going to use double-sided sticky tape, and I'm just going to put some at the top and then some at the bottom. Like that. And then we're going to peel it away. That should be enough to stick it down securely. And then we're going to take this and we're going to stick it in the middle of our piece of paper, or at least kind of in the middle. And now we're going to stick all of the other speech bubbles on, but each time what we're going to do is we're just going to put a piece of glue or sticky tape only on this part, so that we'll be able to flip it over. So we'll show you on this one. So we're going to take this one, we're going to put a little bit of double-sided sticky tape here, and we're going to try and do it in the same place every single time. So I've done mine just before the kick there, and then we're going to turn it, peel the tape off first, and then we're going to line it up with the speech bubble underneath, and then we're going to stick it down, and that way we can peel it back and see what's written on the next speech bubble. And then we're going to repeat this for all of the other speech bubbles. Great, so now we've got our speech bubble book ready, and when from the front it doesn't look like much, but then when we pick it up